Beautiful. G'day, boys. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, man.
Doing well,
That's
doing.
It's so good to meet you finally. It's been a while. Me and Nick have been trying to tee this up for a little while now, so it's good to finally get to know you and lay eyes on you, I guess.
Yeah, man.
It's always good to see a face to like a name or a correspondent that you've been chatting with for a while. It just kind of makes it real, makes it human.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
exactly right. It's not just words on the screen, eh?
Yeah,
That's it.
So, just for listeners, why don't you guys introduce yourselves, tell everyone what you're about, and how we sort of connected.
Sure, yeah. Well, my name's Nick, and I'm with
and
Jayden,
I'm Jayden. I play bass guitar for the band Between Kings.
and I sing for the band Between Kings. And yeah, we pretty much just met up on Instagram, really, and decided to, yeah, have a chat.
Exactly right. And you guys are you both Brizzy boys, or is that just you, Nick?
Both really.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
For
So have
me,
you guys been based in Brisbane like for a while, or?
Yeah, we were based in Brisbane for probably about seven years as a band.
yeah, we
Um,
started here.
Yeah, and then just in the last year, we've made the move over to LA. But
Yeah,
back in
sweet.
Brisbane at the moment, with everything that's going on.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to talk to you about that. Was it a nightmare trying to get back home, or is it pretty simple to get
We
back to
got
Australia?
lucky. We got back like with ease, I would say,
Yeah,
compared to a lot of other people. It just kind of worked out for us. A lot of people, they were going on and then they'd book a flight and then they'd get to the airport, that flight's cancelled. For us, we were just really lucky. Nothing really got cancelled on us. We kind of just floated through, but we've heard some horrific stories of just,
yeah,
you're booking 2, 3, 4 flights and they just keep getting cancelled right before they leave. So,
yeah.
um,
It was pretty smooth for us, to be honest. Yeah, we got lucky.
And that's awesome. And you guys were living over there, yeah? You weren't on
Yeah,
tour or anything like that?
we were about to start a tour. That all got cancelled. So yeah, we were pretty much just finishing up recording in the studio when it all hit and the studio shut down. So we had we decided to release what we have so far, an EP coming up. But yeah, no, other than that, we've been pretty much working out of LA.
That's
it's
awesome.
not
So yeah, you guys got an EP coming out the 24th. That's right, eh?
That's it.
100%, yeah, for four
Yeah,
song EP.
super excited.
And we're currently in the makings of making a little video clip for the next song. We're pushing off that EP called Too Young. Antidote's out already, and that's the song that we have been pushing, and that'll be the title track of this EP. But then we're also giving the fans a little something more with Too Young. That's going to come with the drop.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome, guys. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been showing a few people your music since me and Nick started talking, and everyone's loving it, guys. So no, props to yous for going after what yous won. I guess that's one of the main things that got me excited to talk to yous, because I assume you guys are similar age, sort of late 20s. Is that right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so I'm obviously just starting out with this, but to see a bunch of youngsters that are going after it and sort of just chasing down their dreams is something that I was really, passionate about talking to you about. So have you, obviously you can't speak for the whole band, but Nick and Jayden, have you always wanted to be a musician or part of a band and stuff like that?
yeah. You fire away.
Um, I've always wanted to, I guess, entertain. I would say. I've just always been surrounded by music and loved music. Like my dad's played bands since before I was born. So I guess that was kind of instilled on us. My twin sister and my brother both played instruments. My mum can play an instrument. So like I was just kind of brought up in that area, and I just loved entertaining. So it just kind of, for me, they kind of came together in making a band. But when I joined Between Kings, it was just for fun. It was just to like let that out. Because I think anyone who's any form of creative like yourself, everyone in the bands, you just need a place to kind of let that out.
Yeah, for sure.
And the band just kind of happened.
Yeah,
It wasn't really, there was no plan, there was no form. It was just let's have some fun and release some creativity.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. But how about yourself, Nick?
Yeah, for me, no one in my family is really musical, so it was something that I sort of I sought out for myself. Started listening to albums like Blood Sugar Sex Magic from the Chili Peppers, a few, The Killers, System of a Down, things like that, and saw an old acoustic guitar for sale one day and saved up and bought it, and tried to mimic those songs, and then eventually, that was all in South Africa. I found a homeless busker and was pretty much like, I went and sat down next to him, was like, man, teach me everything you know.
Wow.
He was an ex-fireman. Anton was his name. Anyway, and so he taught me everything, and he's actually the one who got me into singing. Pretty much forced it on me. And in terms of Between Kings, I moved to Australia to carry on with my studies with music. And we all met up at uni and just loved the same music and just decided, hey, let's start making music together. And it all sort of fell into place from there.
And for the other was like, I know Tricky, he'd been playing drums growing up, and then I think he stopped for a bit. He was a tradie for a bit, but then he posted an ad online, and that's how we found him, and it just kind of evolved from there. He knew that he needed to still play drums, and he loved doing it. And I think Jordan was similar. He was a bit late to the party. He started playing guitar when he was like 13 or 14. I think he didn't pick it up till high school, but if you ever meet or chat with Jordan, you'll know that when he does something, it's 40,000%. So when he dives in, it kind of encompasses his life for whatever period of time that may be. So he picked it up pretty quickly, and it's a really good guitarist for it.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And it sounds like you guys obviously get along really well, which is obviously pretty important to the dynamics of the group, I'd imagine.
Yeah, you have to. We all live together when we're on tour, so you're stuck in a house or a bus or a hotel room or whatever it might be. But some of us live together back in Brisbane too. So.
3 of us at one point, we've all lived in a house together.
Yeah.
So it's not really,
it's
pretty easy. It's exactly like family, I'd say. You know, you're going to fight, you're going to disagree, but you just learn to manage it. But at the end of the day, everyone's pretty easygoing. Like it's not difficult. I can't imagine being in a band with someone I don't know. That's like, some band, like all forum, they just get like new members coming in, and we need this and we need that. But that's a terrifying thought to me. Being on stage with someone I don't know and haven't been with for 6 years.
That was a big part of it for us when we were like, okay, who do we want to be in this band? That came first before your ability to even play your instrument. When in the early days it was like, right, we need people who we can get along with and who we can be stuck in a bus or a hotel room together. So we took that all into account. Anything
can be learned, you know. It's not that difficult. It's just a level of practice and time. So, as he said, it's all about who you get along with, and the rest will come with. We've all really grown together. Like if anyone can hear what we were back when we started,
God.
Oh Jesus. Oh, like that is, we've seen videos actually quite recently. We went back and watched a few videos from back before the band even started, like when we were performing in the groups we had to go in for uni and stuff like that, and just thinking, oh my God,
it was horrendous.
Like where you start and where you end up is night and day, and it's a trip. It's a mental trip.
That's awesome. That's so great. And did you all study music at uni, or did you all just sort of come together at university?
Some of us studied music. Jay, Jordan, and myself studied music for a bit at the same uni.
So I studied vocals at uni, and Nic and Jordan were both studying guitar.
Yeah, right.
And then Nic and Jordan were just, I don't know, when you guys met, it was kind of like best friends at first sight, and they were just always in the practice rooms together. And I'd say that's really where the very first flame of Between Kings started, in those practice rooms with those two. And then I came along later on, and then ad posted up, and Tricky came along too.
Which is super unlike him. He's like the last
Yeah.
dude you would expect to reply to an ad, or he's like super
Even put one
antisocial.
up, like
Yeah,
it's
super weird. So the stars all aligned.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So I have a bit of a background in church. So as I left school, I joined the ministry and was training to become like a pastor and stuff like that. And then I ended up having a falling out with the church and sort of faded away. But the music that I've heard from you guys, it sounds a lot like the music we hear that I remember from church, and not that it sounds like gospely or anything like that, but it sounds like there's a lot of emotion behind what you guys are putting out into the world. And I imagine that that's pretty draining, I guess, for yourself as well, Nic, being the vocalist. Do you write the music yourself, or is it sort of a group job, or how does that sort of work? Because it sounds deep.
Yeah, no, it's a group effort really. Jordan will usually start it off with like a few chords on his guitar, and it sort of evolves and snowballs from there. So it'll be like we'll do some guitar, we'll put some keyboards behind it, and then we'll all sit down and be like, okay, what is this song sort of telling us it wants to be written about? Almost, it's a bit weird, but it's like you get a general vibe for the song and what you think it's about. And then Jayden will sit down and fiddle around on bass until he comes up with something that matches, and likewise with Tricky.
But the way we attack it is it's whoever can bring the best to the table as well. Like if someone else writes an absolutely killer bass line, then we're going to put that in the song. Like you can't really bring an ego to the table when it comes to songwriting. You can't be like, no, you can't write that. You can't do that. That's up to me. You know, it's whoever has the best idea is what's put forward, because the song comes first. There's no point throwing it up an ego wall and having a terrible song.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you've got to solve the song. You have to
Yeah,
solve
like
the song.
the song comes first, and especially like when we first started writing, we'd all just be throwing lyrics left, right, and center. But I think over time we found out best that Nic writes 95% of the vocals, and because it just I'd say it allows you, from what I've seen, to connect to the lyrics a lot more. And when your singer can connect to what they're saying, that's where the emotion comes from. So mainly lyric wise, that's all Nic, just so we can really get into it.
Yeah, you obviously you invest a little bit of yourself into every song and every lyric that you write, really. So it's good to we have like a direction where we can all trust each other enough, where I can bring forward lyrics and the other boys will tell me if they're shit or not, you know. And they'll be the first to be like, dude, you're being cringy.
Yeah,
we need to change that. Or whatever it is. And likewise with other parts. But ultimately, yeah, it's all about that. What is the song about? What is the vibe? And what is the message that we're getting from it?
That's really great. That's really great. And from Antidote, there seems to be a huge message there. I don't know if it's just from my past and I guess what I've been through, but a lot of mental health significance. Is that something that you guys would put into it, or did that just sort of manifest itself from my end?
No. So that is a clear message in there. It's something that I struggle with. I'm on medication that I have to take every day. And it was just a song. It sort of came to fruition with just coming to terms with the fact that maybe it's okay to need medication to help you get through days, and like obviously with me it's prescription medication. With some people it's alcohol or whatever your antidote is. So we like to leave room for people to be able to insert themselves into the story as well. But yeah, that one is quite close to home for us, because it's not only me that deals with things like that in the band too. So,
and it could be something as simple as just some people like calling, you know, their mother or their sister once a day. You know, it doesn't have to be something so visceral. It's just that one thing that kind of, if you're having a hard time, it's the one thing you can fall back on that you know is going to catch you.
Yeah, for sure. That's really beautiful, guys. And I think that's one of my messages as well, because like yourself, Nic, I take medication. I'm pretty open about that because I want to remove that stigma. So it's really great to see you guys sort of following that message as well, because it's important. It's 100% important. So that's great to see.
Yeah, it's so common these days that I don't quite understand why people kind of because I mean, I don't suffer from anything from it. You boys could probably shed light on it, but I mean, it's so common now that I don't really understand why people hide it.
Why there's a
You know,
stigma.
I'd say, I don't know anything about facts, but I mean, I'd say 1 in 3 people these days are now either knowingly or unknowingly doing something to help them in forms of medication. So yeah, I don't understand why there's such a stigma. It makes no sense.
But in the same breath, I think that stigma is starting to fade away with artists and speakers and things coming forward and being more open with it. That's why I don't shy away from the topic either. But we also get messages from a lot of people who are struggling with their own demons and their own things, and it definitely seems like it's something that's affecting young people more than ever. It's either we didn't know about it before and everyone kept it to themselves, or it seems to be getting worse. So yeah, it's definitely something that hits close to home.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And what are your plans now? You're back in Australia. Obviously, you have your EP launch in the next couple of days. How is what's going on affecting that for you guys?
It's been a bit, yeah, it's obviously been quite frustrating for us in terms of not being able to tour. We've got all this pent up energy that we're so used to getting out there when we play on stage.
Like we were just started filming stuff last night for a video clip that's coming up. And you really need that like physical aspect to it, because you're right, you get super pent up, you start getting agitated. Like I'd say for us in the band, performing live is what we love most. So and I'd say for a lot of musicians it might be that case as well. So Corona's it's really put a dampen on a lot of us, but we're making the most of what we can do. And
that's it. It's pretty much making the most of the opportunity that we have now that we've got all this free time. We can connect more with the people who listen to our music. We can do stuff like this. We have time to do podcasts and meet new people.
And social media, like we've really stepped up, because at the moment that's kind of one of the only artistic expressions we have. And everyone's got a lot more time now, and we want to give all the time in the world we have to really chat with everyone, because we can't have that connection live. So we're really trying to make up for that over some media. Because I think our live game is where we shine the most. Like if you're looking we attack our live shows as a place that people can go just to kind of forget the world for however long our set is. And that's what we strive for. So without having that for our fans, we're trying to make up for that. When they hit up our social sites, we're just trying to help them forget the world and just kind of let things go for a small period of time.
For sure. And on the topic of socials, how would people find you guys? What's the best way to sort of get in contact or check out your music or your feed and stuff like that?
Yeah, just at Between Kings on Instagram is where we hang out probably the most. But I think we have a Twitter account.
Not big. We're not big Twitterers, not big tweeters.
No, it's mostly Facebook and Instagram, and of course we're on YouTube a fair bit. So comments in videos and things like that, we always try and make the effort to track them down and have a chat.
Yeah, sweet. And music-wise, is Spotify... I always get sort of confused, because I know how I can put my stuff on Spotify, and I obviously don't get any kickbacks. So I didn't want to sort of portray you guys and tell everyone to listen to you on Spotify, because I don't know if that helps you in a way, like in a monetary value, or is it better to go onto things like Apple Music and iTunes and stuff like that, or does it matter at all?
At the moment, iTunes is taken a bit of a it's turned into not as many people are buying music on iTunes. So Apple have gone over to a streaming service. So it's streaming services, Apple Music, it's things like Spotify and our YouTube page where we appreciate people taking the time to have a listen to to what we've got.
But it's just kind of the way the music industry's gone. Like it's not really a negative. A
No.
lot more people are listening to music now because of it. So, there's positives and negatives for anything. And we also find that because of that, people tend to have a lot more money to buy, merch and other things when you're at shows. So it kind of really makes the live spectacle that much better. So yeah, Spotify is the best.
Apple Music,
YouTube,
Yep.
whatever's best for you. We're on every platform we possibly can do to make it as easy for people, so they can stick with whatever's their preferred choice.
That's great, and that's awesome. And when it does come to the music industry, obviously I have no idea about that, but does your Australian sort of I don't know, if it's a producer or record label or all that sort of stuff, does that sort of cross over to when you're in the US or as well, or is that separated and you have to deal with both of them when you travel internationally?
The label that we're assigned to is based in LA, actually.
Yeah.
So it's made it pretty easy for us to make the move, really. Obviously, we've grown a pretty good size following here in Australia. But I think our music, when you hear a lot of bands on radio stations like Triple J and Hit 105 and Triple M, or anyone that plays rock music, or we don't sound like we fit into the Australian music scene. It seemed to make more sense where our analytics show that a lot of the larger portion of our following is based in America. So that all translates pretty well for us to make the move. It makes it nice and easy.
And when you turn on the radio in America, I never really understood that until we went over there. And you just turn on the radio when you're in the car and you're just like, right, okay. It does sound like an avenue that we fit in a lot more compared to Australia. There's still a lane and there's still an avenue here in Australia that we do fit in, and that we're still pushing for and doing everything. It's just a matter of time. But yeah, there's a lot more of our style and our genre over in the States. So
it's also because just the size of America, the sheer amount of people that are there is insane. So I mean, yeah, there's a radio station for every genre. Well, there's 5 radio stations for every genre over there. So it's a lot easier for your music to spread.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you think that radio is sort of a dead thing here in Australia, or just think it hasn't caught up to what America is, or is it, like you say, just a population thing? It's just about the numbers.
I think it's just a population thing. I'd say radio is still one of the most fantastic ways to help break new bands and continues people's career, because when you can stream a lot now, but still when you jump in the car, still, when you're on a job site, or if you're at work, radio's so, it's just always there. There's always going to be a radio somewhere. There's always going to be a radio there. I still think it plays such a massive role.
It does.
In music.
Yeah. I mean, I listen to the radio just about every day still.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to find new music. I mean, a lot of the time I'm sitting there driving along or wherever I am, and you hear something that you've never heard before and it excites you, because with mobile phones and Spotify, it's easy to get lost in, how do you find something on there? There's just so much out there to choose from that it's nice to just be fed a little gem every now and then.
Something new. You're 100% correct. Because even in the Spotify, it still tries to link you to bands and genres and songs that are like what you're listening to, but it'll never be something. It's rarely ever, from my experiences, something that is completely new. This band only just came out 6 months ago. It's normally, have you heard this B-side song from this band 20 years ago? Or have you heard their 4th single release off their #1 album from so-and-so band, So radio's still really, really good at pushing really new, young bands, and we love them for it.
That's super interesting. It's really nice to see a couple of guys that are in that industry speaking so highly of it, because I guess from where I sit, radio is like old news. You know, like there's no way that I could just be doing this with you guys on the radio. I'd have producers and people telling me what to do, and I wouldn't be able to say fuck and things like that. You know, so there's a lot that comes back to it from my end. But it's great to see that it's definitely not, you know, a thing of the past, because there is still, yeah, like you say, a lot to it.
Yeah,
But I guess,
there's room for both.
yeah, and that's awesome. I don't think that, you know, there's a lot of talk if something new comes out that the old thing has to die, but it's good to see that it's not, and it's good to see that people in your position are still open to the fact that they're still chasing to get on the radio, and it's not just, you know,
Exactly.
online stuff like that.
And radio is still evolving, like with everything, you know, as soon as new technology comes out, everything has to adapt and evolve, and radio is still doing that. I don't personally don't think it's something that's ever going to be phased out. It's ever going to die. It's just going to keep evolving into a new form of what we call radio. And I'm sure in 20 years, what radio is then and what radio is now is going to seem like night and day. But it's such a massive industry, and it's so important that it'll always be around. But I can't really envision a time where there won't be radio.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That makes
yeah,
sense.
I agree. How does it work for you with like, did you get into podcasting did you start off like listening to radio personalities and things like that, or did you start listening to podcasts and decide that you wanted to branch out, or
For myself
what was
personally,
that?
I guess I've always been interested in sort of like Jayden said earlier, like just entertaining. But the older I got, the more different people I started to meet, and sort of like you meet people, because my background is I'm a tradie, like I'm a carpenter, so I meet a lot of different people from all walks of life, and yeah, like you said, I started listening to podcasts, and I guess I sort of came to the conclusion that like if they can do it, why can't I? And I
Yeah,
guess it's obviously a learning curve, and there's so many podcasts out there that are quite alike. I obviously it's the same for you guys, where the music industry is enormous, but
yeah,
being in your position, I guess you have like a certain avenues you can follow. Podcasting seems quite vague in the way of like, I think someone said that there's nearly a million different podcasts, not episodes, but podcasts themselves. So then you go
wow,
from
Yeah.
there, and it's like, how am I going to stand out? How am I going to do that? And I guess you got to sort of come to the point, and it's probably the same for you guys. Like, I'm not going to be the biggest name in podcasting, and it, you know,
Hmm.
you're driving for that, but you're realistically sitting back, and you want it to be organic and genuine, and just come across. And I don't make money from this or anything like that either, but you want it to just flow naturally. And you know, meeting you guys out of absolutely nowhere, and just meeting new people and talking to people that I've known for so long, like a lot of my guests are veterans or other musicians and things like that, people that just interest me and I want to know more about them, because it's hard to have a conversation. Like there's no way that the three of
Yeah.
us could sit down without disruptions, without distractions, and just be able to have a conversation and get to know each other. And that's probably the biggest drive for me, is just getting to know different people and sharing their stories with other people as well.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
100%.
very much the same. It sounds like you've got the same passion that we've got for what we do, and I mean, yeah, it's the type of thing where it's obviously quite vague. Like you said, with where you could go, but if it's organic and you find the people who you're talking to different people, and your audience sort of will build naturally from there. Um,
And you're right. Like you want to be, it's always good to aim high, and it's always good to want to be the best. And I feel like we all strive for that, and it's a good goal to have. But it doesn't mean that you should ever be unsatisfied of where you are, because there's one, if you're in it to make a living, you know, you don't really have to go too far inside either industry to really start making a living and be okay. And you'd still be affecting hundreds of thousands of people's lives by getting these people's stories across. You know, everyone's like, oh, I want to be at the very top, you know, I want 50 million streams. It's like, I want 50 million people to see my podcast, but there's plenty of podcasts out there that are just hitting 100, 150, 250. And that's still 250,000 people that you've helped change, and that you've shown someone's story. Like, you know, don't devalue your accomplishments, because I think that's a big thing we've had to come to learn. It's like, just because some band got 40 million streams doesn't mean that your 1 million means nothing or is worthless. Like, it's still like, it's an amazing number to hit. Like, it still feels great. We're so thankful for it. You know, just be really, you know, enjoy the accomplishments that you've achieved, and stop putting the benchmark so high.
Yeah, that's something we've definitely had to. Every now and then, everybody does this, where they sit down and sort of self-evaluate. Like, all right, where do I measure up compared to everybody else who's trying to do the same thing? Where do I sort of stand? And yeah, that is something that we've come to terms with, is like, you've got to celebrate the little successes like the big successes, because those people who you are reaching and who we're reaching, it means something to them, you know?
That's really great. That's really beautiful. And yeah, I 100% agree with that. Now, what about going forward, guys? So you've got your EP released in a couple of days. What plans do you have, or is it hard to tell at the moment with everything going on? What's next for you?
Yeah, it's a bit hard to tell at the moment. Right now, it's writing new music, getting this EP out. Obviously, filming a music video. We've got a little bit of an interactive thing happening with our fans, where they get to be a part of it. We want to try and include all the people who have supported us, and show them some love. So we're pretty busy coming up with ideas and ways to work around this pandemic situation that we're all finding ourselves in. But for us, it's pretty much create until we can get back on the road and meet people and play our music and do what we love to do.
For sure. And is that back on the road? Is that back to the US, or you got plans here in Australia now, or what's the go?
It's looking like it'll be back to the US. We've toured around California, and we've done like Vegas, San Diego, things like that, but we haven't really head over to the East Coast yet. And Central America, yeah, there's still a lot to see before we've done pretty much every major city in Australia now, so we want to sort of branch out and get to see some of those places that we haven't got the chance to play yet.
For sure, and there must be a lot for you guys as well in a tourist thing, being able to see these awesome places and travel the US and hopefully, you know, one day the world, and see a lot of things. Does that drive you to do the tour as well as spreading your music?
Yeah, for sure. We get to see some pretty cool stuff. Like, I got to see snow for the first time in Big Bear, and like, just little memories that you end up making a little snowman for the first time. We drove past California's biggest gas station, which is not very big.
That was an absolute lie. There was like 5 or 6, driving for a couple of Ks, there's 5 or 6 signs saying California's biggest gas station. So, you know, if you've been in Brisbane, you've driven down to Dreamworld or something, and you see the absolute monolithic, right? We get there and we're really confused, because we're like, surely it's not this. There's maybe 5 gas pumps, a tiny little, you know, shack on the place so you can get food and pay. And then I think Nick looked it up, and it was just like, oh yeah, by like square area meter, their
like
lot is technically the border. So we were just like, man, what the hell? But we'll never forget that, because we were so hyped for a good few Ks, and then sheer disappointment.
The journey's been, the journey is the great part.
It's little stuff like that just stay with you, that are just fun.
For sure. And Nick's experience with the snow. Jordan, do you have anything like that? Something that really stands out for you?
Yeah, it's just the sheer size, I guess, because I've only ever been in Australia. We've done a little bit in New Zealand, but I haven't really seen much of the world. So the sheer size of cities in America is astounding. Yeah. Especially LA. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. And
is that like the
it's
size
kind of like
the population?
Yeah, and just LA is so, I mean, I can't really base it off anything else major in the US yet, but I'd say it's so spread out. Like, especially in Brisbane, in the city, it's very built up. There's a lot of high rises, but when it comes to LA, I think you'll struggle to find anything over 10 stories. And if that, then maybe 10 buildings. It's very flat, like it's not built up. So they've gone out. And yeah, just the sheer size of it is unfathomable. Like each suburb, so if we're talking in terms of Brisbane, each suburb would be the size of probably the CBD.
Yeah, and there's a crazy amount of suburbs too.
Yeah,
even the population is just.
There's a lot of people.
It is crazy, man. Like I will never complain about traffic in Australia ever again after being on the 405 peak hour in LA. There's like 2 times of the day where you can pretty much drive. Like
when I first arrived, we flew in at 6:30, 6:50 at night. Landed, got in a car. What was a 20-25 minute destination drive took us an hour and a half.
Holy smokes.
It's just like
it wasn't even peak.
And driving over there on a work day at like 11 a.m. when normally no one would be on the road would probably be Brisbane's busiest day.
Far out. And then to throw in the mix, you're on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, terrifying.
Look, I don't drive. I never have to deal with that.
It is terrifying.
Yeah.
It's not so much like driving on the wrong side. It's the like, you don't know how big the car is because you're so used to like getting the sort of vibe of like how big the front of your car is from like this side, that when you swap over, like your right hand side, you have no clue how wide your car is. It's super, super weird and disorientating. And everyone in LA drives like crazy. Like they're pretty aggressive drivers. So it's a lot to get.
Especially on the highway, what we've seen is speed limits aren't a thing on the highway. It's you drive to catch up to the cars in front of you, and then you match that pace. So that was interesting the first time we got it, because people will just be beeping you and just be like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm going the speed limit. And then just suddenly everyone's just going 20, 30 over the speed limit, just zipping past you. And you're just like, what is going on?
Texting and driving.
The amount of people on their phones. Oh my God. Like they've got a lot more people. Like our guitarist said it, like I didn't understand it when I got over, but he's like, you know, I think there's half Australia's population in LA alone, if not a little bit more. I think they have 20 million. Don't quote me on it. It's a lot.
It's somewhere around 20 to 30 million in California.
Yeah. They've got a lot more stuff to deal with than pulling people over for being on their phones. So I guess that's why it's not as prevalent. But as an Australian, especially in Queensland, just going over and seeing it, I'm like, you're all just wanting like $500 fines. Like that's ridiculous. But it kind of brought, have you seen all those videos of like LAPD and how people just get super mad for getting pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt or having their phone, you know?
For sure.
It kind of brought context to that because it just probably doesn't happen as often over there because they have a lot more serious things to deal with just by having a bigger population.
Yeah, definitely. Have you had moments where those bigger things come at you guys? Like, have you had moments where it was scary for you, where you had like, obviously the thing that comes to mind that we don't have is shootings and guns and stuff like that. But like, is that seriousness of having that many people there daunting to, you know, 4 or 5 guys from Brisbane of all places?
Yeah, when we first arrived,
Nic and Jayden arrived first and did some album stuff for about 3-4 months.
We lived in Venice, but like, Venice is such a weird place because it's got Abbot Kinney, which is like the most expensive street in LA. But like 2 streets down, you're in the ghetto. Like it's heavy stuff. So we were right in the ghetto. We didn't know where we were. So we just got dropped into like Venice, the slums of Venice. Dudes, like we woke up one morning and there was just a car on fire, like outside our house. Then literally the next morning, some dudes pinned up against our garage door being held up by like 5 dudes with cops with shotguns. Cause I don't know what he did, but just craziness. So yeah, it was a rough few weeks, that we were in our Venice house, but, you get used to it so quickly. to be honest, that it becomes just a part of life pretty quickly.
And the Americans that we've dealt with, they're also nice. Like, I don't know if it's because we're Australian or if it's because we're foreign, or I don't really know, but like we haven't had an issue ever.
No.
I can't say for me at least, I don't think any of the band boys have ever spoken about us having an issue. Like, they're just so lovely and welcoming and helpful, at least.
Everyone,
everyone that we've run into, we haven't. I don't think we've had an issue yet. So, you know, we can only really speak for the small area that we've seen, but it's been pretty lovely. But as Nic mentioned, like, that kind of comes with the vast size and the population, with how we were filming. No, we weren't filming. We were just in an area. It was a bit run down, like what you'd call a rundown area in Brisbane. And then suddenly we just rock up and there's just this serene duck pond, like a massive area, duck pond, lake, like a really nice park. And it's just like, there's so many gems like that around LA of just
little spots of paradise.
You know, yeah, you're in one area and then you'll walk 5 meters in a direction and then suddenly you're just in a completely different view, you know, like walking from a hot forest straight into a blizzard. Like, it's just night and day in some of the areas there. It blows your mind.
That's absolutely wild. And what if I had to ask you both separately, what's the dream? Like, what's the be all and end all for you guys when it comes to your music careers? Like, is there a concert or a place to play, or is it just seeing where it goes? What would you say?
For me, it's largely just the journey. I love what we do. I love the fact that we get to travel, meet new people. And for me, honestly, like, I'm pretty happy if I can just support myself and my little family that I've got. I don't want huge riches or anything like that. That's not really what I'm focused on. It's more, I want to be able to provide, do it, like, and I want to be able to, everybody's got their dream job, you know, they don't want to be stuck in an industry that they hate. So just being able to make a living doing what I love is the ultimate dream for me.
Yeah, I'm exactly. But yeah, I'm exactly the same. Like, I don't really care. Like, I don't want to be a multimillionaire. Like, that's, if it happens, it happens. But yeah, I just want to be able to perform every other night. And yeah, once exactly the same. I just want enough that I can live off. And just do what I enjoy, because it's, you know, there's not many industries that you can really do what we're looking to do. And yeah, I'd just be happy with that.
We can just keep wearing sweatpants whenever.
Yeah.
Then that's all good.
And dancing around like idiots on the stage.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just so much fun. Like, hearing someone sing back a song that you put so much time and effort and like actual emotion into is
rewarding as hell. Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't describe the feeling you get, and other musicians will immediately understand. And yeah, it's just so hard to describe, just that satisfaction and kind of euphoric adrenaline rush that you get.
Yeah.
That's really great, guys. Hey, I really appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me. Just to round it out, I really just want to ask you guys, if you had something that you could pass on to, you know, a young musician or someone that's just starting out within the, I guess, the artistic realm, or something even that you could tell yourself when you were starting out. Can we end on some positivity, something like that, gents?
Mine, I always think back, and it's one thing I wish I read when I first started. It was something Dave Grohl said. It was quite a long paragraph, so I'm just going to paraphrase it. And it's, you're going to suck. It doesn't matter. Keep sucking, and then you'll eventually suck a little bit less, and then suddenly you're nirvana. That's paraphrasing what he said. So it's okay. Like, you're going to start off being pitchy. You're going to start off not knowing how your instrument completely works. It's fine to suck as long as you keep practicing and you want to get better, because you will get better. Just practice, practice, practice.
Yeah. And for me, it's surround yourself with people that you love. Build a little family. And that, like if it's authentic to you, then it's going to come off as authentic to other people, and it doesn't really matter what other people think. It's if it's good enough for you, then you're on the right track.
That's awesome, gents. Thanks so much, hey, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Awesome.
100%.
Thanks so
Best
much
luck,
for having us,
mate.
man.
Guys.
Really.
Thank you.